After 60, 5 people you must avoid, even family. As we step into the golden years of life, something remarkable happens. The rush to achieve and the demands of daily life give way to a quieter rhythm. We find ourselves craving peace, meaningful connections, and time to reflect on the beauty of a life well lived. Yet as we age, we realize an important truth. Not everyone we keep close brings value to our lives. Have you ever felt like you've poured your heart into loving and helping others, only to end up feeling drained, unappreciated, or even manipulated? It's a tough realization, but one that becomes vital as we grow older. Protecting your emotional well-being and surrounding yourself with the right people is not selfish, it's essential. The Bible speaks of love in a profound way. Love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22:39. It reminds us that while love is a cornerstone of faith, it must include self-respect and boundaries. Loving others does not mean allowing them to rob you of your joy, exploit your kindness, or disrupt the peace you've worked so hard to build. C.S. Lewis, a voice of wisdom and deep faith, once said, "Love is not always giving in. Sometimes, love is letting others bear the weight of their own actions." These words hold a powerful truth, especially as we enter this sacred season of life. Real love does not enable toxicity. It encourages growth, mutual respect, and responsibility. As we navigate these later years, it's important to discern who belongs in our lives and who doesn't. While it's never easy to step back from relationships, even with family, there are 5 types of people you must avoid to safeguard your peace and happiness. These are the ungrateful, the irresponsible, the critics, the manipulators, and the self-absorbed. In this journey, we will explore who these people are, how their actions impact your well-being, and what steps you can take to protect yourself. More importantly, we'll anchor these lessons in the wisdom of Scripture and the timeless insights of C.S. Lewis to guide you toward living with joy, freedom, and authenticity. So, if you've ever felt like you're carrying burdens that aren't yours to bear or that your kindness is being exploited, stay with me. Together, we'll uncover how to reclaim your peace, set boundaries with love, and embrace relationships that truly honor the remarkable person you've become. Let's dive into this transformative journey, starting with one of the most common, yet often overlooked challenges, dealing with the ungrateful. 1. The ungrateful. There's a unique joy in giving. Whether it's our time, wisdom, or love, the act of giving allows us to connect deeply with others. Yet nothing stings more than the cold silence of ingratitude. When the sacrifices you've made go unnoticed, or worse, are met with criticism, it can leave you feeling disheartened, undervalued, and questioning your worth. Imagine this. You spend hours preparing a holiday meal, pouring your love into every dish. As your family gathers around the table, instead of expressions of gratitude, you're met with complaints. "This isn't like it used to be," or "Why didn't you make my favorite dish?" The love you infused into your effort is overshadowed by their indifference or dissatisfaction. It's a moment that cuts deeply, not because you expect applause, but because appreciation validates the care and effort you've given. The ungrateful don't just overlook your kindness, they diminish the joy of giving. Their ingratitude sends a message that your time, energy, and care aren't valued. Over time, this lack of recognition can weigh heavily on your heart, turning what should be joyful connections into painful reminders of being taken for granted. But here's an important truth. Their ingratitude is not a reflection of your worth. Their inability to recognize your efforts speaks volumes about them, not you. You deserve to be surrounded by people who see and cherish the love and generosity you bring into the world. The Bible offers clear guidance on how to deal with such situations. In Philippians 2, verse 14, Paul reminds us, "Do everything without grumbling or arguing." This verse encourages us to act with a pure heart, not seeking recognition but giving from a place of love. However, it also highlights the importance of not dwelling in negativity when others fail to reciprocate. Jesus himself experienced ingratitude. In Luke 17:11-19, he healed 10 lepers, yet only one returned to thank him. Instead of dwelling on the ingratitude of the 9, he celebrated the faith of the one who came back. His response teaches us an important lesson. Focus on those who value your kindness and don't let the ungrateful steal your joy. C.S. Lewis once observed, Ingratitude reflects more on the receiver than the giver. It does not diminish the act of kindness, only the character of the one who fails to appreciate it. These words remind us that our acts of love and generosity hold intrinsic value, regardless of how they are received. By anchoring your actions in love, you can rise above the disappointment of ingratitude. Dealing with ungrateful people requires both self-awareness and courage. Here are some steps you can take to guard your heart and maintain your peace. Acknowledge your feelings. It's okay to feel hurt or disappointed when someone fails to appreciate you. These emotions are valid and deserve to be recognized. Ignoring them will only allow resentment to grow. Reevaluate the relationship. Ask yourself, does this person add value to my life? Do they respect my efforts? If the answer is no, it might be time to adjust the boundaries of that relationship. Limiting your energy for those who don't appreciate it is not selfish, it's self-preservation. Set clear boundaries. If a family member or friend consistently takes your kindness for granted, it's okay to scale back. For instance, if you've always gone out of your way to accommodate their needs, consider shifting your focus to what brings you joy instead. A calm explanation like, "I've decided to prioritize things that make me happy," can make your stance clear without confrontation. Redirect your energy. Invest your time in people who value and reciprocate your kindness. These are the friends, neighbors, and community members who uplift your spirit and make every act of giving feel worthwhile. Celebrate your own efforts. Take a moment to appreciate yourself. Acknowledge the love, care, and thoughtfulness you put into everything you do. Even if others fail to see it, your kindness is a reflection of the strength and beauty within you. Ultimately, the act of giving isn't about seeking recognition, but about expressing love and care. However, this doesn't mean tolerating exploitation or disrespect. Your kindness is a gift, not a right, and it should be treated as such. By shifting your focus away from seeking gratitude and toward the joy of giving, you can find peace even in the face of ingratitude. But when ingratitude crosses the line into disrespect, it's important to protect yourself. Set boundaries that honor your worth and ensure your energy is directed toward relationships that nourish your soul. Ingratitude may sting, but it does not define you. What defines you is the love you give, the lives you touch, and the legacy of kindness you leave behind. As C.S. Lewis so wisely put it, life is too short to spend with those who drain your spirit. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, and let your golden years be filled with peace, respect, and joy. 2. The irresponsible. The golden years of life are a time to release burdens, not take on new ones. After decades of responsibilities, raising a family, building a career, and contributing to your community, this stage should bring peace and freedom. However, the irresponsible can disrupt this harmony, pulling you into their chaos and leaving you emotionally, mentally, and sometimes financially drained. Irresponsible individuals shirk accountability for their own actions and expect others to bear the consequences. They may be family members, friends, or acquaintances who consistently make poor choices, avoid responsibility, and rely on your kindness to bail them out. Imagine this. A grown child frequently finds themselves in financial trouble due to bad decisions. They promise, "This will be the last time," but weeks later, they're back with another crisis. You love them and want to help, but over time, their repeated reliance on you begins to feel more like exploitation than genuine need. Irresponsibility isn't just about neglecting duties. It's about shifting the weight of one's problems onto others. It's draining, frustrating, and deeply unfair to those who've spent a lifetime managing their own responsibilities with care and diligence. The Bible emphasizes the importance of personal accountability. In 2 Thessalonians 3:10, Paul writes, "The one who is unwilling to work shall not eat." This verse is a reminder that personal effort and responsibility are essential for a fulfilling life. By constantly rescuing someone from their own choices, you may unintentionally hinder their growth and enable their behavior. Even Jesus demonstrated boundaries when dealing with people's needs. While he was compassionate and generous, he didn't indulge those who refused to take responsibility for their actions. His interactions often encouraged accountability, as seen when he told the man healed at Bethesda, "Stop sinning or something worse may happen to you." John 5:14. Jesus' love was firm, guiding people toward repentance and change. C.S. Lewis insightfully observed, responsibility is the foundation of maturity, and by taking it away, we delay the growth of others. True love does not mean shielding others from the consequences of their actions. Instead, it encourages them to face reality and learn from their mistakes. Practical examples of irresponsibility. 1. Financial dependence. A family member constantly asks for money, using guilt or emotional appeals to secure your help. They may say things like, "You don't care about me," or "If you really loved me, you'd help." Over time, these repeated requests not only strain your finances, but also your peace of mind. 2. Emotional burden. A friend or relative frequently involves you in their personal dramas, expecting you to mediate or fix their issues. This ongoing reliance can drain your emotional energy, leaving you unable to focus on your own well-being. 3. Neglecting responsibilities. A neighbor who routinely fails to maintain their property or commitments may shift their problems onto you. Whether it's asking for constant favors or expecting you to handle their obligations, their actions can disrupt your life. Steps to protect yourself. Dealing with irresponsible people requires a balance of compassion and firmness. Here are some practical steps to safeguard your peace. 1. Recognize your limits. Acknowledge that you are not responsible for solving everyone's problems. Your time, energy, and resources are valuable and should be directed toward your own well-being. 2. Set boundaries. Politely but firmly let the irresponsible person know what you can and cannot do. For instance, if a family member asks for financial help again, consider saying, "I'm sorry, but I'm not in a position to assist this time." You don't owe anyone lengthy explanations. Your boundaries are valid. 3. Encourage accountability. Instead of solving their problems, guide them toward finding their own solutions. For example, suggest that they speak with a financial advisor, take up part-time work, or seek professional counseling. This approach empowers them to take control of their situation. Avoid guilt traps. Irresponsible individuals may use guilt as a tactic to manipulate you. Remind yourself that saying no is not an act of cruelty, it's an act of love for yourself and for them. By refusing to enable their behavior, you encourage them to grow and take responsibility. 5. Redirect your energy. Focus on relationships that uplift and respect you. Spend time with friends, family members, or community groups that bring joy and positivity to your life. This will help balance the emotional toll of dealing with irresponsible people. Helping others is noble, but there's a significant difference between assisting someone in genuine need and enabling irresponsibility. By stepping back and allowing others to face the consequences of their actions, you give them the opportunity to grow. This is not an act of abandonment, but of tough love, one that helps both you and them in the long run. Your golden years are a time for joy, exploration, and self-care, not for carrying the weight of others' poor choices. By setting clear boundaries, you reclaim your peace and create a space where both you and those around you can thrive. As C.S. Lewis wisely noted, stepping back does not mean you lack love. It means you value growth for yourself and for them. Remember, you've earned this season of life through years of hard work and dedication. Don't let the irresponsibility of others overshadow the peace you've built. Instead, embrace the freedom to live authentically, surrounded by relationships that bring mutual respect and support. 3. The critic. In the later stages of life, one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is the freedom to live authentically, embracing who we are and the life we've built. But critics, with their constant judgments and uninvited opinions, can rob you of this joy. They thrive on finding flaws, often under the guise of being helpful, but their words can cut deeply, leaving you feeling diminished and inadequate. Critics come in many forms. They could be a family member who constantly questions your decisions, from how you spend your time to how you interact with others. A neighbor who always has something negative to say about your garden, home, or lifestyle. A friend who never misses a chance to point out what they believe you're doing wrong. Their criticisms often seem small in isolation. A passing comment about your choice of clothing, how you manage your retirement, or even your hobbies. However, over time, these remarks accumulate, creating an environment of constant judgment that chips away at your confidence and joy. The Bible warns against a critical spirit and offers wisdom on how to respond. In Matthew 7 1-2, Jesus teaches, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." This verse reminds us that critics often project their own insecurities and fears onto others. Their judgments are more about their struggles than your shortcomings. Understanding this can help soften the sting of their words while reinforcing that their opinions do not define your worth. C.S. Lewis insightfully wrote, "Criticism without love is self-righteousness masquerading as concern." This captures the essence of many critics. They use judgment to elevate themselves rather than to genuinely help. Recognizing this can help you detach from their negativity and focus on building a life that reflects your values, not theirs. Critics hurt not just because they judge, but because their words plant seeds of doubt. You've lived a life full of challenges, triumphs, and hard-earned wisdom. To have someone dismiss or belittle your choices is an affront to the journey you've taken. Imagine this. You decide to take up painting as a hobby. A friend casually remarks, "Why bother? You're too old to start something new." The comment may seem minor, but it can linger, making you question whether your efforts are worthwhile. This is the insidious power of the critic. They diminish your joy and confidence with their unsolicited opinions. How to deal with critics. Critics can't be entirely avoided, but you can control how much influence they have over your life. Here are steps to protect your emotional well-being. Filter their words. Not all criticism deserves your attention. Ask yourself, is this constructive feedback or is it coming from a place of negativity? If it's not constructive, let it go. Biblical guidance. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying. Ephesians 4:29. Surround yourself with those who uplift and edify rather than tear you down. Set boundaries. If someone consistently criticizes you, it's okay to address it directly. For example, you can say, "I appreciate your perspective, but I'm happy with how I'm living my life." This calmly asserts your boundaries without inviting further conflict. Redirect the conversation. Critics often thrive on negativity. Steering the discussion towards something positive can neutralize their impact. For instance, if someone comments on what they perceive as a mistake, you can respond with, "That's one way to look at it, but I'm proud of what I've accomplished." Surround yourself with supportive people. Seek relationships that celebrate your achievements and offer encouragement. Friends, family, or community members who genuinely value and respect you can drown out the negativity of critics. Celebrate your achievements. Take time to reflect on your accomplishments and the resilience you've shown throughout your life. Criticisms lose their power when you're confident in your own worth. C.S. Lewis reminder, "What you think of yourself is far more important than what others think of you." One of the most empowering realizations is that critics' opinions are just that, opinions. They are not truths, and they do not define you. Critics often project their own fears and insecurities onto others, and their words are more a reflection of them than of you. You've lived through trials, joys, and losses, and these experiences have shaped you into the person you are today. No critic can diminish the richness of your journey or the value of your existence. By choosing to focus on the positive and filtering out the negative, you reclaim the confidence to live authentically. Life after 60 is too precious to spend worrying about the opinions of others. Instead, prioritize the moments and relationships that bring you joy. As Paul wrote in Romans 4:19, "Let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification." C.S. Lewis reminds us that life is not measured by the opinions of others, but by the beauty we create within ourselves. By embracing this truth, you free yourself from the weight of criticism and open the door to a life of peace, confidence, and fulfillment. 4. The manipulator. As we grow older, the value of peace and emotional well-being becomes immeasurable. Yet manipulators, cloaked in the guise of affection or need, can quietly erode this tranquility. These individuals are skilled at exploiting your kindness, making you feel responsible for their happiness, success, or well-being. Over time, their demands can leave you feeling drained, used, and trapped. Manipulators often appear as though they genuinely need your help. They might be family members, friends, or even acquaintances who lean heavily on your goodwill. At first, their requests may seem innocent. Can you watch my kids for a few hours? Or could you help me run an errand? But over time, these small favors become patterns of dependency. Worse, they use guilt, flattery, or subtle threats to ensure you comply. Picture this. You're enjoying a quiet evening at home when the phone rings. It's a relative asking for another favor, something they could easily handle themselves. When you hesitate, they say, "I thought family was supposed to be there for each other." You agree reluctantly, not because you want to, but because saying no feels like letting them down. This is the hallmark of manipulation, turning your kindness into an obligation. The Bible offers wisdom on how to handle manipulators. In Matthew 5:37, Jesus teaches, "Let your yes be yes and your no, no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one." This simple yet profound verse reminds us of the importance of honesty and setting clear boundaries. Saying no is not a sin, it's an act of integrity. Manipulators often prey on a loving heart, but love is not blind compliance. Galatians 5:1 reminds us, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." This freedom includes emotional freedom, being free from the weight of others' unreasonable demands. C.S. Lewis insightfully wrote, "Love is something more stern and splendid than mere kindness." True love, as Lewis explains, involves clarity and boundaries. It's not about giving in to every demand. It's about guiding relationships toward mutual respect and growth. Allowing a manipulator to exploit you is neither kind nor loving. It only enables their harmful behavior. How manipulators operate. Manipulators use various tactics to control and exploit others. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward protecting yourself. 1. Guilt trips. Manipulators excel at making you feel guilty. They might say, "If you don't help me, I don't know what I'll do," or "I thought I could count on you." These statements are designed to make you feel responsible for their well-being. 2. Flattery. They might shower you with praise before making a request. "You're the only one I can trust with this." While the compliment feels nice, it's often a setup to gain your compliance. 3. Subtle threats. They might imply that refusing them will harm the relationship. For instance, "If you can't help me, I don't know if I can trust anyone anymore." This puts emotional pressure on you to say yes. 4. Framing requests as emergencies. Manipulators frequently present their needs as urgent, making it difficult for you to refuse without feeling like you're letting them down. How to handle manipulators. Dealing with manipulators requires courage and clarity. Here are steps you can take to protect your emotional well-being. 1. Recognize the pattern. Start by identifying manipulative behaviors. Ask yourself, do I feel drained after interactions with this person? Do I often feel pressure to say yes? Recognizing these feelings can help you see the manipulation for what it is. 2. Set firm boundaries. Boundaries are essential. Politely but firmly let the manipulator know what you're willing and not willing to do. For example, you could say, "I understand you're in a tough spot, but I'm unable to help this time." 3. Don't justify your decisions. Manipulators thrive on explanations they can poke holes in. A simple no is enough. You don't owe anyone an elaborate reason for protecting your time and peace. 4. Limit engagement. If someone repeatedly manipulates you, consider reducing your interactions with them. Surround yourself with people who respect and value you instead. 5. Focus on your well-being. Remember, your peace is worth protecting. Saying no to manipulation is saying yes to your emotional health and freedom. Many people feel guilty about setting boundaries, especially with family. But consider this, allowing someone to manipulate you isn't helping them. It enables their unhealthy behavior and prevents them from growing. By setting boundaries, you're not only protecting yourself, but also encouraging them to take responsibility for their own actions. Manipulators may frame your refusal as selfishness, but the truth is, your well-being matters. The Bible reminds us in Proverbs 4:23, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." This includes guarding your emotional space from those who seek to exploit it. C.S. Lewis beautifully summarized the strength required in relationships when he wrote, "Courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point. By standing firm against manipulation, you exercise courage in protecting your peace, freedom, and joy. Your golden years are a time for living authentically, free from unnecessary burdens. By identifying manipulators and setting clear boundaries, you create space for relationships that nourish and uplift you. Let go of the fear of disappointing others and embrace the freedom to live your life on your terms. 5. The narcissist's life after 60 is meant to be a time of reflection, connection, and meaningful relationships. Yet not all relationships nourish the soul. Narcissists, those consumed by their own needs, desires, and achievements, can leave you feeling invisible, undervalued, and emotionally drained. Their self-absorption turns relationships into one-sided performances where your feelings, needs, and stories often go unheard. Narcissists come in many forms. They may be family members, friends, or even acquaintances who dominate conversations, seek constant validation, and rarely consider the feelings of others. For them, life revolves around their experiences, achievements, and struggles. Imagine sitting down with a friend or family member to share a cherished memory from your past. You begin speaking, but before you finish your sentence, they interrupt to share their own story, completely unrelated to yours. This dynamic repeats over and over until you realize that in their world, you're just a supporting character in their drama. The Bible warns us about the dangers of pride and self-centeredness. In Proverbs 16:18, we are told, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." Narcissists, driven by their need for admiration and dominance, often lack the humility required for meaningful relationships. Jesus modeled the opposite of narcissism: humility, compassion, and selflessness. In Philippians 2 verse 3, Paul urges, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves." This is the foundation of healthy, God-honoring relationships: mutual respect, care, and love. C.S. Lewis called pride the great sin, observing that pride is the complete anti-God state of mind. Narcissists, in their pride, often place themselves above others, creating an imbalance that prevents genuine connection. Lewis also remarked, "Pride gets no pleasure out of having something, only out of having more of it than the next person." Narcissists thrive on comparison and dominance, leaving those around them feeling diminished. Narcissists hurt because their self-absorption leaves little room for others. They dismiss your feelings, minimize your achievements, and expect you to prioritize their needs over your own. Over time, this imbalance can erode your self-esteem and make you question your worth. Consider this: every time you try to share something meaningful, they redirect the conversation back to themselves. Every time you need support, they're too busy seeking validation for their own struggles. Their inability to truly see and value you creates a profound sense of loneliness, even when you're in their presence. How to deal with narcissists. Dealing with narcissists requires intentionality and strength. Here are steps to protect your emotional well-being. 1. Recognize the signs. Narcissists often dominate conversations, dismiss others' opinions, and seek constant validation. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward protecting yourself. 2. Set boundaries. Establish clear limits on what you're willing to tolerate. For example, if they consistently interrupt you, calmly but firmly say, "I'd like to finish what I was saying." Reclaiming your voice is essential in maintaining balance. 3. Limit their influence. While you may not be able to cut narcissists out of your life entirely, you can minimize their impact. Spend less time with them and focus on relationships that uplift and support you. Don't seek their approval. Narcissists often manipulate others into seeking their validation. Remember, your worth is not determined by their recognition. Focus on what God says about you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. 5. Redirect conversations. If a narcissist continuously monopolizes the conversation, gently steer it back to balance. For instance, say, "I appreciate hearing about your experience, but I'd like to share something important to me as well." 6. Surround yourself with supportive people. Invest in relationships where you feel heard, valued, and respected. Friends, family, or community members who genuinely care about your thoughts and feelings can help counter the negativity of narcissistic interactions. It's natural to feel frustrated or hurt when dealing with a narcissist, especially if they're someone you care about. However, understanding their behavior can help you detach emotionally. Narcissists' actions often stem from deep insecurities and an inability to empathize. Recognizing this can make it easier to set boundaries without carrying resentment. It's also important to remember that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth. Narcissists may fail to see your value, but that doesn't diminish it. Your experiences, wisdom, and presence matter deeply, whether or not they acknowledge it. Life is too precious to be overshadowed by someone else's self-absorption. The Bible reminds us in James 4:6, God opposes the proud but shows favor to the humble. Surrounding yourself with humble, empathetic people can bring peace and fulfillment to your golden years. C.S. Lewis beautifully captured the antidote to narcissism when he wrote, "True humility is not thinking less of yourself, it is thinking of yourself less." By focusing on relationships that reflect mutual respect and care, you can reclaim your joy and create a life filled with authentic connection. Your golden years are a time for celebrating your journey, sharing your stories, and nurturing meaningful relationships. Don't let the narcissist's shadow dim your light. Instead, protect your peace, embrace your worth, and surround yourself with people who truly see and value you. As we journey through life's later years, our priorities naturally shift. The hustle and demands of youth give way to a deeper desire for peace, meaningful connections, and self-fulfillment. Protecting your emotional well-being is not just important, it's essential. The people you surround yourself with can either uplift your spirit or weigh you down, and learning to discern between the two is an act of wisdom and self-respect. You've spent decades nurturing, supporting, and giving to others. These years of sacrifice and dedication have shaped you into a person of strength and compassion. However, that doesn't mean you should carry burdens that aren't yours or tolerate relationships that drain you. As the Bible reminds us in Galatians 5:13, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. But do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. True love and service are acts of humility, but they are also acts of balance and boundaries, reflecting on the 5 types of people to avoid. The ungrateful, the irresponsible, the critic, the manipulator, and the narcissist reveals a common thread. All of them hinder your ability to fully embrace the beauty of your golden years. These individuals, knowingly or unknowingly, rob you of your joy, freedom, and emotional peace. By setting boundaries with them, you reclaim the time and energy to invest in relationships that truly matter, those that are built on mutual respect, care, and reciprocity. C.S. Lewis wisely noted, "Life is too short to spend with those who drain your spirit. Choose relationships that nurture your soul and reflect the beauty of your journey." This truth is especially relevant now. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your achievements, value your wisdom, and honor your boundaries. Seek out friends, family, or community members who bring positivity, joy, and understanding into your life. Letting go of toxic relationships does not mean you lack love or forgiveness. On the contrary, it reflects a deep love for yourself and an understanding of the value of your peace. As Proverbs 4:23 reminds us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. By guarding your heart, you ensure that your golden years are filled with moments that bring you closer to God's purpose and the joy He intends for you. Your happiness is your responsibility, and your peace is your legacy. Embrace relationships that uplift you, let go of those that hinder you, and savor every moment of this beautiful chapter in your life. You've earned it. Live authentically, freely, and with the confidence that you are living in alignment with God's plan for a life of peace and fulfillment.